Morning, everybody. I hope you're having a lovely day. So, it's full council on Wednesday. Every meeting is called a council meeting, so I say it's full council because we all sit in a big room and insult each other. It's that one on Wednesday. Now, you'll all be aware of the terrible story of that I think it was a 2-year-old little boy in Rochdale that passed away because of I think the coroner said there was black mould, and the spores are very dangerous. Now, a lot of you will know that Highfolds Estate, is riddled with black mould. It's terrible, and if you've seen the pictures I've put up on Facebook, you'll have had a good understanding of just how bad that is. Obviously, it's not just Highfolds, it's Hagfold Estate as well. And I only have a good understanding of both of those estates. But I would assume that it's more than those two estates. There are problems with a few places in Loughton that I think we've got fixed. As I said in an email to David Mulleney, council leader, it's not that the Labour councillors haven't done the job, because they have. It's council officers that haven't got the work done. I mean, I'm going back and I'm pushing for the work to be done, which isn't what other councillors have done. And please allow me to be perfectly clear, I shouldn't have to do that. I shouldn't have to go back in to a job and say, why has it not been done yet? That is not my... I mean, I can do it because I'm doing it, but I'm not supposed to. As a councillor, and let's be clear on this, as a councillor, I'm supposed to put MEM in, MEM, Members Inquiry, whatever. I put the request for the work to be done in, and then the staff do it. That's it. And I walk off, I put it in, and I go, that's it. You get your problem fixed. I get to go about my day, and so do you. That's not been happening. That's the problem. So, I mean, yes, Fred Walker and co are in a different political party to me, and I'm quite sure that never the twain shall meet. I don't have the slightest question in my mind that we're never going to be best mates. But what I can say is that the man has done his job. That's the least I can say, and that's what I should say. The man's done his job. So, because I've been playing around in this for a few months now, and obviously I was called into Highfolds before the terrible news came out about the Rochdale, the little baby in Rochdale. I've been kicking around this system trying to get jobs done, and as you sometimes do, and when you stick your oar into something, you find out information about these things. So I found out that I mean, we all got the same email, but I found out that a report was being put together. And that was it, a report on the housing conditions of social housing in Wigan. And that was it, that's all it basically said. And then through conversations and emails, just purely by chance, and I'm stressing that because I want you to understand that this information should have been just coughed up to council straight away. Should have been coughed up to all of us, actually. You should have had it as well, so you could go, oh, okay, good, something's been done about it. But nothing's been said, not in the press, not on TV, nowhere. So I'm telling you. And if I can, I'll do it again. But, you know, Michael Gove, I think it's Michael Gove, some time ago, after that terrible story of that poor little baby passing away, said to all housing providers, Better check your stock then, for damp and mould. And the report has to be in by the 19th of December this month. So a couple of weeks. And the report, this is how much I know. The report is going to be agreed at Confident Council or the Scrutiny Panel or whatever, because they do like to change the names. I suppose that's just a good waste of money. But our report from this council is going to be agreed. It will then get sent off to the government for the 19th. It will get agreed on the 15th or something, whatever panel. But everybody in the country is because of Michael Gove, has asked for this information. So everybody's been held to account, which is great news, isn't it? What isn't great news is that council officers are running around telling residents, oh, we don't do anything about mould, or stick some bleach on it, it'll be fine. Well, actually it won't. Sticking bleach on mould is, it makes it look like it's gone away, but it doesn't. You need to kill the mould spores, and you need to kill the roots, and you need a biocide to do that. You need a proper mould killer. And we need to take responsibility for this and figure out what's wrong. There are several reasons why. I was in a house yesterday, and to me, I'm not a builder, but to me, it seemed to have quite obvious rising damp. Black and green mould on the walls, a couple of foot up, all around the living room, and the floor's crowning. It's bitumen. I think that goes over concrete, and the floor is starting to crown. It's starting to do that, which means something, is expanding underneath and pushing up. And you could feel the cold in the floor. It took my feet 2 hours to warm up when I got home yesterday. Something wrong with the heating system. The radiators, he's bled the radiators, but they're not getting warm enough, which, I don't know. I'm not a gas plumber. Maybe there isn't. That when I had that problem with my boiler many years ago, there wasn't enough water in the system. I topped it up so it had a nice bit of internal pressure, and it worked better. But I don't know. I'm just there to report it, right, and walk off and not worry about it anymore, because the system is supposed to work. So anyway, these issues are all being collated. Now there's going to be, it's just been set up a few days ago, Tenant's Voice. Never heard of it. Bearing in mind that I live in Loughton and there are council houses and properties, bungalows as well, in Loughton. I've never heard of Tenant's Voice. Never heard of it. Wasn't told about it, didn't get a phone call, carrier pigeon, nothing. So, a Labour councillor from Highfolds Estate wanted to put, quite reasonably, I'm not having a pop here, wanted to put the information for this meeting on Highfolds Estate Facebook page. And the person that runs it, James, said, well, what is it? Because obviously he doesn't want anybody going on there saying how great their political party is, understandably. And as a political party person, I want to tell everybody how great my party is, obviously, because I want you to vote for me, right? So, I'm not having a pop at anybody, I'm just explaining. So, still getting over that cold. It is going though, thankfully. So, he starts to try and pull out of her the information for this meeting because she wants to get access to the page. And bearing in mind, it's a Labour council, it's Labour councillors, and they're bringing in a Tory from 5 miles away to do the job. You can't expect them to... you can't expect them to be overly concerned about what a Labour council wants to do, It's going to be a little bit defensive. So it turns out there's this meeting called Tenant's Voice. Now, it turns out the council has just made this up. And I thought, all right, here we go. I'll have a bit of that. So I started asking questions. I sent off a message to a very, very senior member of staff. And I said, I believe there's a meeting next week on Highfolds Estate about housing and so on. What's going on? So I get a reply back from the lady that's organising it, and she dripped information to me when she had to. Let's be honest. And it turns out that this tenant's voice has been set up a few days ago, and it seems to me that it's been set up just so we can say we're dealing with it. Because it was put across to me that this tenant's voice was for the entire borough. The entire borough. But not for Loughton or Goulburn. Just for Highfold. So, in this series of emails back and forth, I says, is Loughton going to have a meeting? Because there's council hours in there. Well, we're probably going to arrange for the police to attend. Well, let me tell you a story about the council housing in Loughton. We have had our problems, and we've had problems where the council just refuse to accept that they've done something wrong, or their staff have. Like the one where the window wasn't installed properly, and it kept on getting condensation and whatever. And after I gave it a try for years, James gave it a try for years, I think my mum stepped in, or one of us, but everybody tried to give it a go, and then an actual builder came and said, oh yeah, the window's been installed incorrectly. But all these years we've been told that this tenant isn't putting his heating on, which is why it's cold and damp in the room and or whatever. In actual fact, that window hasn't been installed properly, right? Not acceptable. Let me be clear, that's not acceptable. You all pay quite a lot of council tax, and I expect officers with the ability to be able to find their arse with either one of their hands, if you take my meaning. Things like that. Another one, outstanding. This is one of the jobs in this guy's bungalow. A plumber had been in. Apparently an intelligent man. Hey, let's say it's an intelligent woman then. Let's say it's a woman plumber. An intelligent woman plumber. And what she'd done is she'd run a couple of pipes in the bathroom. And then she, because let's not be sexist in this, she had put the pipe so that you couldn't close the door. So you're having a poo and you can't close the door because there's two pipes in the way. So he's a bit of an idiot, isn't he? That's outrageous. And I heard about that. My mum was trying to deal with it. I heard about it and I just went mental. I said, yeah, sure, let's have a site visit, everybody. Oh, we'll fix it then. Oh, so we don't want to be humiliated in front of a resident doing it. Okay, that's good. So, there are issues all over. It's not that Highfold is special. Same guy, a hole that big between the roof and the wall. You could feel the wind blowing round the living room because there was that much of a mess. So it's not just Highfold. It's not just Labour wards. We've all got it. Getting it to us, though, and getting it fixed is another thing. But it is a Labour-led council. All David Mullen has to do is order his officers to go out and actually find all the problems. And then all they have to do is say to the government, yeah, we need 100 million to fix these houses. That's all they've got to do. So, in my mind, this tenant's voice was set up just to make this problem go away and probably not want to fix anything, and I find that quite offensive. But I've sent the information for the tenant's voice to the independents because there's at least two sets in Wigan. There's the group that's elected and the group that wants to get elected. And I think it's the Abbotston Independents and so on. They want to get elected, and Stuart Gerrard, he's the leader of the Independents group on the council. So I've sent him the information as well because he's got Hagfold, and obviously I want everybody to have a nice standard of living, right? I want you to be happy. I want me to be happy. I want everybody to be happy. It's a hard enough life as it is. You shouldn't have to be going home walking into a wall of damp and black mould, right? So I've sent the information to them. Hopefully they can start pushing, say, yeah, we want a meeting too. And then it'll be funny watching all the officers running around like chickens with no heads, trying to make it look like they already wanted to do this. It'll be brilliant. I can't imagine to see what the deranged left are going to make of this video. Good luck with that, fellas. Tell everybody far and wide how horrible I am. Make them all watch it. So that's good. There's going to be a rent rise that averages out at £5.66 a week. Obviously, with what I believe is a recession, we had the lockdown and then the financial crisis and, the war in Ukraine. Things are a real mess. And you are absolutely entitled to have your opinion on all that. You feel free. But as a realist, I've got to say to you, you can say what you want. This is where we are. Okay? Nobody likes it. We are here. And this is how we decide to deal with it. Just so we're clear. There's going to be a 7% rent rise. Now, it's interesting that the Labour-led council wanted an 8 or 9% increase, and the government said, I think 7's enough, don't you? But the government had to allow a bigger rent rise purely because of the financial situation. Now, I know what you're saying, why can't the government pay? Because it's your money that they use to pay it. That's why. So you can pay X for your taxes, or you can pay more in your rent. Take your pick. Have you figured it out yet that it doesn't actually matter, you're still going to pay? Top man and or woman. Or wolfkin, take your pick. So, bear in mind, the council wanted to put it up by 8 or 9%. And the council have had very, very low rent rises over the last few years. Very, 1% rent rises. That's because that's what the government's allowed them to do. So when they stand up and go, oh yes, we're only going to go 1% rent rise this year. That's because that's what they've been allowed to do. They can act hard and they can act as responsible as they want. Let's be frank, it's the officers that tell them what's going on, and they go, oh, okay, fair enough. Then they stand up in full council chamber and act hard about it. Well, you feel free. If you and your mates believe that, you believe it. The reality is quite different. Here's me telling all the secrets about how things actually work. So, I expect to get quite a lot of abuse because of this awful rent rise, this terrible situation. But Labour wanted a higher rent rise, and I'm going to really enjoy pointing that out on Wednesday. It's going to be a good day Wednesday. I'm going to have quite a lot of fun. Most people don't like publicly speaking. I don't like publicly speaking, but the trick to public speaking for me isn't thinking that everybody is naked. It's realising just how much you hate everybody else, most everybody else in the room. And when you let that hate flow through you, you realise I'm very, very happy to stand up and tell these people a few facts. Which is what I'm going to do. I'm going to stand up and I'm going to tell those people just a few of the facts that should be common knowledge. And so they'll all sit there and deny it and they'll all be offended. Whatever, who cares? Whatever, who cares? So that's where we are. Labour wanted a higher rent rise than they actually were allowed to have. The Labour Party have allowed the housing situation to decay. Just so you're aware, Manchester Airport, I've said before, all the councils in Great Manchester own shares in it. £2, £3, £4 million a year coming from those shares. None recently because of the lockdown. But for 10, 15, 20, 30 years, the council have been getting in money clear and above that they could play with. They didn't put it into social housing. They didn't put it into youth clubs. They didn't put it into public buildings. You'd have to ask them what they did with the money. But I can assure you that money came in was above the grants we get from government to pay for stuff. Right? And the money was wasted. Well, let me assure you, If I'd have been in charge, that money would have gone into social housing, community buildings, youth clubs, getting roads actually fixed, not wasted and frittered away on stuff that some stupid old man in an office wants. Because that's what it is. Politics is mainly stupid old men sat in an office being pampered while everybody else wonders how they're going to be able to afford the rent this week. Anyway, there you go. That's where we are. You'll have a good day. See you on Wednesday, I hope.